Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me today is Professor R 𝗤𝗽𝗍𝗔, and we are going to have a cracker of a session. We're going to talk about a suburb, a small ward that Professor himself grew up in. I grew up adjacent to that. Very fond memories, but it's a very important topic. You'll know why. Let's welcome Professor RV. Namaskaram, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Sir,
Strictly speaking, he should clarify. T Nagar is not a small ward or anything. Anyhow, that is the word we have used. It's an assembly constituency, actually. The pin code is 560017, popular pin code. And it has been an assembly constituency for quite some time. And it's one of the prestigious assembly constituencies from where the 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏 Jairam and son Anbaragan. I will come back to that much later. Now, whenever we mention T Nagar, immediately what comes to mind is only the shopping center. Ranganathan Street. It has become where I grew up. Anyhow, it has become a massive shopping type of an area, and everybody talks about T Nagar as a shopping center. Very surprisingly, some of the so-called historians of Madras city, when they come to T Nagar, when they talk about T Nagar, they talk about Panakal Maharaja, whose name there is a Panakal Park there, and then this Sir 𝗍𝗍𝗏 𝗢𝗏, in whose name there are roads and. But very surprisingly, these are all the Dravidian groups. They were all bootlickers of British, and that is what is being focused on T Nagar, and then it is gloated over and then forgotten. Everybody talks about you can get saris at a deep discount, you can get electronic item, you can get aluminium vessels, all type of things you can get, which is factual actually. But the T Nagar I am going to talk about is the T Nagar of the 50s and 60s, not 2020. This is something very interesting. That's the time in which it was growing. And if you look back, first and foremost is, how did it come into effect? There was a huge lake actually called T Nagar Lake. And that massive lake was, it was not a T Nagar lake, it was a lake. And this 1919, some of you may recall, 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏 massacre took place. Unarmed, innocent men and women were shot dead by the 𝗏𝗏, and that became a very major issue. Almost all the British papers were shocked actually. And in India, you believe me, Dr. Nair, who is also one of the founders of the self-respect movement and Justice Party much later, and 𝗤𝗏𝗏, these two wrote an article justifying 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏 massacre. Believe me, I am not telling this. P. Ramamurthy, in his book, P. Ramamurthy is a CPIM founder from Chennai, from Tamil Nadu. So in his book, and he is not going to be contested by all my left friends and others. He mentions in his book very clearly that this support article was written by Nair and 𝗤𝗏𝗏𝗏. But in India, newspapers were not willing to publish this. Whatever said and done, there will be a backlash, including the pro-British papers like Statesman in those days, Madras Mail and others. They were not touching it. Of course, Hindu and other papers were also not enthusiastic. You know what they did? They sent it to London. And some of the papers in UK published that, telling that two intellectuals from Tamil Nadu are telling, from India are telling that this shooting was justified in order to preserve law and order, so many blah, blah, blah. So this is the starting point of, they were South Indian Liberal Federation, it was called, in which these two were members. This is the starting point of the Dravidian movement, actually. Then British government that time were very happy. You know what they did? They donated the lake, which was existent that time, to these two people and told whatever way you want to use it, you can use it. Then that lake was developed into this T Nagar, 𝗤𝗏𝗙 Nagar, otherwise it is, on the basis of the 𝗤𝗏𝗙𝗘𝗥𝗘, who is the one who, and the 𝗤𝗙𝗡𝗏 road is also named after him. He became a Sir, so he became a SIR. That title was given by the British. So he became Sir 𝗤𝗏𝗙 Chettiar and Dr. Nair, these two. And then there were others who joined them, Thanikachalam and others who joined them. Now they developed this. Now one part of it was very well developed. That is called this side, T Nagar. The other side is called West Mambalam, which is a railway line is in between the two. The West Mambalam was not so much developed. It was waterlogged and it had all sorts of problems, mosquitoes and other things. So this side of the railway track, if you are living, you are supposed to be more developed compared to that side of the railway track. This is something which we will come to that as a history. Now this development took place, and they distributed this land and other thing among several of their bootlickers, that is among several of the what one can call pro-British people, and among that there were a lot of other resale and other things took place. So quite a lot of other relatively well-to-do non-British bootlickers also acquired many of those plots, including our famous what is that lady Kamala Harris, her parents and her grandparents, who were supposed to have had a plot. That is what is claimed. And Indira Krishnamurthy, later she became Indira Nui, who was the head of the Pepsi. Their parents, like that, so many others also acquired various type of plots and got developed. This is the past history of the developing of the 𝗤𝗏𝗙 Nagar or T Nagar. The area which you can loosely call is from Kannamapete, what is that called, a cremation ground on the deep south to deep north Abibullah Road, where Rajaji was staying. This is from my memory I am telling, so I could be, wrong in some areas. People who are very more familiar of those days can correct it. Anyhow, I thought for history and factual reason, this should be recorded, and I requested Sree Iyer whether we can do that. And I feel more areas, not only in Tamil Nadu, other places also should be covered in the same fashion. What is that called, sir? No, you are not audible. You have to unmute.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Got it. Sorry, sir. Habibullah Road is also known for the house of Mr. N.T. Ramarao.
Yeah. No, he shifted from there. I will come to that. Habibullah Road is more known for house of Rajaji, actually. And I will come to each one of these people. Okay. Now, this is the past thing. And I am requesting Iyer that other areas in Hyderabad or in Trivandrum or in other places also, similar type of, because most of the discussion on specific areas talks only about shopping and these clubs in that area and all these things, which is not wrong or anything, but each of these areas have got a huge amount of past history. So let us get into that T Nagar's area thing. Northern part, I am going up to the cremation ground, and beyond that CIT Nagar is there. Of course, if you extend further, you will get into Kanimozhi's home and other thing. That much, one is not stretching the T Nagar's area. The first and foremost is to remember, in those days, the T Nagar bus stand was inaugurated by Kamaraj. Believe me, I was in school that time. He came in ambassador car. He was dropped, and nobody, no other, this black cats or brown cats or grey cats were around him. Only one lonely police inspector from the T Nagar police station, which is adjacent to the bus stand, he was standing there, whatever you call it, to give protection to him or whatever it is. And many of our school children were able to talk to him. He was so pleasant, and he asked which class you are studying, what you are studying, are you going to school regularly, and all that thing. He inaugurated that bus stand, and that became a major hub of activity much later. Opposite to that bus stand is a cinema hall got started called the 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗧𝗧 Theatre. And that became very popular because it was showing Telugu movies also on a Sunday morning. And other time it was showing regular movies. So that 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗧𝗧 Theatre was one of the landmarks in that area in the late 50s. Okay, the first and foremost is very interesting. The beginning of the southern tip we are talking about, N. Parthasarathi was living. Napa, he was known as Parthasarathi. He was running a Deepam. He was very famous writer and a well-known personality. And he was one of the pioneers in literature in that part of the time. From there, if you move slightly down to what is known as Damodaran Street, Damodar Reddy Street in those days it is called. Nowadays all that is removed. 𝗪𝗚𝗻 Iyer Street it used to be called. It is called 𝗪𝗚𝗻 Street. There used to be one Chetty Street in 𝗪𝗏𝗏. Lightheartedly, it was just called street for many days. And because this is some peculiar
you mean Karnanidhi didn't name it after himself?
No. It is just they removed Chetty. They didn't know. They didn't give the alternatives. Anyhow, this Damodar Reddy Street was very popular, in which Ashokamitran was a resident. He was a very well-known Tamil writer. He has got very many awards and other things. And it's an extremely interesting thing that he stayed in that road. The second major writer. The third is Mahalakshmi Street, adjacent to that. In that Chandelier was staying. Chandelier was very well known for his historical work. Bhashyam Iyengar actually was known to us, but under the pen name of Chandelier he was writing. And he was writing with historical records, and other than 𝗪𝗘𝗙𝗪, he was one of the few who was actually digging into historical records. And then he was writing about the sea fair of the sea activity of the Cholas and the various other, how the Yavanas, how the Greeks and others came into their Tamil shore, and he was quoting actual historical premises. He was very popular, Chandelier. His writings are all very well quoted and other thing. He was writing in those days in, if I remember, Kumudam and other thing as a serial. He was also living in that Mahalakshmi Street. Another one who was living is Ravi Shankar, who started this 𝗥𝗙𝗙, which is one of the little magazines, which is, the original little magazine was 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪. It was started in the late early 60s. And if you ask me, it started the entire little magazine movement in Tamil Nadu, in terms of competing with all established magazines and other things. That was done by N. Muthuswamy, Gnanakoothan, and my own brother Swaminathan, so many people. And that was not in T Nagar, but this Ravi Shankar started 𝗥𝗙𝗪 along with Ravindran and Balakumar. So many other people were also involved in that. It was a monthly which came for something like 50 issues, something like 4 years. So this is something very interesting. It was also in Mahalakshmi Street. And so that street got its name and fame. Initially, the well-known musician, Maharajapuram, Viswanathan, Maharajapuram Sandhanam, and their own children, Ramachandran and others, were staying in Mahalakshmi Street. And later they shifted to what is known as the Sivanyanam Street, which is on the other side of the T Nagar. And their neighbor was Jayalalitha. And she was also staying in that actually. We used to go there because adjacent to that there was a public library. In those days, the public libraries were very popular. They used to buy the newspapers and various other type of magazines and other things. And people used to go there and read. It's a free, actually. It was one of the major. I do not know whether it still continues or not. Jayalalitha house used to be adjacent to that library, in Sivanyanam Street. And I can tell you, may not believe, we used to play badminton. I was also active in playing badminton. She was a very good player in those days. She was in school that time, Good Shepherd Convent. And she was a very talented badminton player. And then her mother, Sandhya, passed away and other thing. And then they later shifted to Poets Garden. Before that, this Mahalakshmi Street, the adjacent to that is southern branch of Ramakrishna Mission, where I studied actually. And behind that is the street, Sadullah Street, and then there were names which are very interesting. These streets were, and Thanikachalam Road. Thanikachalam was again another British bootlicker. He was, a road was named after him. And that Panakal Park, end of the Span Road, that southern Span Road, was again named after the Raja of Panakal, who was another pro-British person. So the intermingling, Usman himself was a pro-British person, and Abibullah and Bazullah were both the pro-British people. So that is how the names were made into main streets. Now, behind that south branch of Ramakrishna Mission, Chandru, who became later Justice Chandru, who is now involved in a lot of controversies also in terms of being. He was staying there and studying. We were classmates actually. He was a rebel without a pass in those days itself. He was with Student Federation of India. He was with Communist Party, Marxist, their trade union movement and other thing. He used to be very fond of 𝗤𝗏 Iyer. He used to read to me various judgments of 𝗤𝗏 Iyer, even when we were in college. So anyhow, he became judge of Madras Court, and many people know that he is known for his radical views and other things. He was close to N. Ram. In those days, N. Ram used to visit us and then try to talk to us about Marxism and other things. N. Ram is fresh from what one can call the US school, what we call the law school in US, and he used to talk about Vietnam. Vietnam used to be a very major flashpoint in those days. So Chandru and N. Ram were very much close, and we all attended their, what you may loosely call classes or whatever it is. And N. Ram also became the city member of the CPIM. One interesting thing I will tell, he didn't want his name N. Ram. He put it as N. Raman. Raman as a name in the CPIM city council, because he told, if I put Ram, there could be some controversy. So let it be under Raman. Not many people know that Raman is same as Ram. Anyhow, so he was active in that. That Chandru became later the judge of the High Court of Madras, and he was very famous for all his what one can call labor-related judgments and other thing. And he is one of the very few judges who, on the day of retirement, he came out, took a train, and went to his home. It's very interesting actually. He was a hardcore communist. And CPM, of course, CPIM, he resigned, because without that he could not have become a judge in Madras Court. So that is about that story. And further, if you move, you come to what is known as the Motilal Street, Sarojini Street. Sarojini Street is very well known for its cricket and basketball groups. There were a lot of huge space was available there before some houses. And so the T Nagar cricket was to be, it was one of the major activity centers. In those days, Ranganathan Street also used to have a major cricket team. I was the vice captain. I can tell you that much to you. And you believe me, we used to play on Ranganathan Street. you think I am just bluffing. You can't, because today you can't just enter that street. Yeah, anything?
Walking itself is a challenge there now. Walking itself is a challenge there now.
Yeah, you cannot even enter. In between, they told no vehicles. Now they have to tell no human beings can do that. It's a and it's a place where you lose your purse, you lose your, pickpockets and other things are common. It's such a place. Anyhow, I'm talking about the late 50s, early 60s. Then the first shop in Ranganathan Street came, known as New Burma Fancy Bazaar. This is by a Muslim from Kuthanallur. He is the first one to open a shop with all those plastic balls and plastic items and other things, which was a very, very major development at that time. Before the shop, after the shop also opened, in the night he used to put the shutter, and in front of that there used to be a good amount of space. Many people used to sleep there. Many residents of the street used to sleep in the night in the summer period. Opposite to that was 𝗲𝗂𝗏. Many of you might have heard about it. Much later, 𝗲𝗂𝗏 shifted. 𝗲𝗂𝗏 is one of those who used to publish all these religious and spiritual books. That used to have a huge compound and a very major activity. And if you go down further, on the right side, you get to what is known as Rameshwaram Street. This Rameshwaram Street had a massive Kalyana Iyer. He had a very huge ground, and Shankaracharya, the senior Kanchi Shankaracharya, used to stay there whenever he comes for his visit to T Nagar. He used to stay there and then give upanyasam in the evening and other things. That time, actually, Jayendra Saraswati was just nominated as his successor, and he used to be called Pudupperiyawal. So both of them used to stay, and it used to have a huge well, and that was serving during the summer crisis of 67. Almost the entire T Nagar used to go there and collect some water from that well. And elephants of these Kanchi Acharyas, cows, and all of them were accommodated in that place actually. And second to New Burma Fancy Store, opposite to railway station, Kalyani store started. That's one of the, what you may loosely call the textile center. Much before there were textile stores in the other side near Panakal Park, like your Nallis and Kumarans and others. But this Kalyani store was a interesting thing opposite to railway station. And the place where Rameshwaram used to hit the Ranganathan Street, we had a Selvam store, one small bunk. We used to sell newspapers. And some of us were privileged to get newspapers free from him to read and keep it there itself. We should not take it away or anything. Adjacent to that was VIP. This VGP, sorry. VGP was pioneer in many respects. One of the major things they did at that time, the transistor was introduced into our country. Some of you may or may not remember, transistor revolution was very major that time because you can carry it with you, unlike a radio which is fixed in a place. The transistor created such a massive. Everyone was nowadays like mobile phone. In those days, everyone was having a transistor in hand. They should tune it and then hear to songs and other things. This VGP created a most innovative thing. They gave transistor to all the vegetable vendors. I should tell you this also, that Ranganathan Street, Rameshwaram area, full of vegetable vendors in the evening. You will find them coming there because it is on one side railway station, other side bus station, which was inaugurated by Kamaraj, I told. This became a linking road. So there was a huge amount of retail shops, mostly vegetable shops. This VGP, what they did was, they gave this all these vegetable shops the transistors for what is known as a installment basis, EMI basis. They were the first one to, according to my understanding, initiate this whole idea of buy now, pay over time period. They created, of course, they had their own people to go around collecting the money. And most of the vegetable vendors and other things were, in those days at least, very credible and very honest. They were returning the money very fruitfully. And Jyoti Venkatachallam, who used to be governor that time, much later I came to know she is also belonging to the same Christian denomination like V.G. Panirdas. Anyhow, she came and inaugurated this whole showroom and became a very big news according to many of us who were residents of T Nagar, Ranganathan Street, are very happy that the governor has come to our street. So V.G. Panirdas' revolution of this installment basis selling caught on, and then I think everybody began to follow in his footsteps in terms of mixie, much later radios, television. So many things were sold on installment basis, and even residences on EMI basis. So he is the what you might loosely call pioneer in this, in terms of small transistors being available to the retail shop people. And this revolution was started at Ranganathan Street. Then so many other shops slowly came, and on the Usman Road and Ranganathan Street cutting was the famous 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏 Jayaraman. He was a DMK councillor, and he was a ardent DMK man. Everybody recognized him. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗥𝗏 Jayaraman was very well known. His son, of course, he is no more. His son also is no more. Anbadagan, he became an MLA. And further down is your 𝗍𝗏 temple, one of the most major milestone or places where Kripananda Warrior used to come regularly and give discourses. And very interesting, he will give discourse on Ramayana. The day he talks about Sabari, some people used to distribute oranges to every one of the audience. And he used to get thousands of people sitting in the ground at 𝗍𝗏 temple to listen to Kripananda Warrior. I also used to be one of the front benchers with Kripananda Warrior, and he used to ask questions to the children. Like why did Rama became famous, or who asked Rama to be sent to forest? And we used to raise our hand and give the answer. He will throw the garland which was given to him to us from the dice. So this is a major achievement by the kids at that point of time. Kripananda Warrior was a very great storyteller. I don't think anybody could match him even today. He was very well versed in Tamil. Almost all the what one can call the religious scripts in Tamil, as well as about Sanskrit. So he was a very great scholar. One can say he is a yogi or he is a anyhow. That was 𝗍𝗏 temple. And 𝗍𝗏 temple was run by one Rao Bahadur. There is a committee. And as usual, there were a lot of politics and other things. Which on the other side of the road, there is one K.M. Subramaniam. And he stood for election, and he won once and then he lost in another time. One day, he was traditionally known as a congressman. He joined MGR party. Unbelievable, that whole area, the message spread like wildfire. K.M. Subramaniam joined the MGR party. And because those days you don't join ADMK or DMK or anything like that, from T Nagar at least. So he joined it, and then he stood for election and won, if I remember correctly. So that was the political background of that person. And if you come to this further down the road, you have what is known as Ramanujam Street. Lalgudi Jayaraman used to be a resident in that street. And it used to be filled with these disciples many times. They were full of enthusiasm, and he used to play in his home, and the jam-packed the whole place is. Today, the CPM MP, Rangarajan, is staying in that street, and he is also very well-known, CPM MP, T.K. Rangarajan, in the Ramanujam Street itself. So, each street, if you go, you have writers, you have artists, you have, and similarly, opposite to Natesa Street, you have this, famous choreographer and Totil. So he much later became very popular, and then he was also into films and other things. Then opposite to 𝗤𝗏𝗏 temple, you should be knowing there was a place called Clubhouse, which is a place where people used to come and stay from outstation and other things. The famous actor Nagesh was one of the residents there, and several other drama and film people used to stay there. Small rooms. 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗏 has explained it in one of his famous write-up. How in those days you have to prepare a portfolio in order to take it to the director, because there was no other facility like your modern video and all these things were not there. So you have to prepare a set of photographs and then put it into a folder. That is a portfolio. And in that 3 feet by 3 feet room, they have to, make several photographs, standing in one place, sitting in one place, and the same room only, and making it appear. And they have to have their legs lifted up and other thing. And Clubhouse was very popular place. Nagesh started his, many people used to have big problem of food and other thing even, but they were not earning much in those days. And there used to be one small tea shop under where they used to give credit and other thing. Those days giving credit is a very interesting thing. So that is the Clubhouse which is remembered. I don't think it exists now anyhow. So further move from Ramanujam Street, you come down and then you have your North T Nagar. North T Nagar was considered as more elitist, more rich and other thing. Habibullah Road, Basullah Road and other thing. And for some time in Habibullah Road, our N.T. Ramarao used to stay. It's very interesting. He used to come out sometime in the morning with the dress of Lord Krishna, in that form, and then stand holding his hand up. You believe me, huge number of people with head shaven, those who go to Tirupati, they used to come by buses and other thing to see his house, and then have a darshan of him in the form of Lord Krishna. Some of them used to break coconuts and other thing there, and that was his name to fame. The other person who stayed there was 𝗤𝗔𝗄𝗏𝗪. Rajaji was of course very calm and serene. He was not very well known, except his daughter was stabbed by a tailor in that area. The tailor had a people of 6 people in the world who are harmful to the earth, and one name was this of Rajaji. He was mentally affected person. One day he came to Rajaji's house and stabbed whoever was in the cot. Unfortunately, his daughter was sleeping in that cot and she was stabbed. And then he was arrested and some case went on. He told he wanted to eliminate these 6 people. Who are the remaining 5 is not clear. Anyhow, he wanted, that was the big news in those days. If one has to remember. Further down is the huge, Adhinam, Dharmapura Adhinam's place, where again many of these musical as well as lectures used to be given and other thing. And there was another huge playground, and that was also very popular in that area. If you come further this side, to the east side, you will find Kannadasan house was located there. He was a very famous poet. Everybody knows Kannadasan is not to be introduced. And there were 3 doctors in that area. One was Saurirajan, who was also having his clinic in end of Mahalakshmi Street. He was very popular doctor because he was treating the poor practically free. He was an ardent Congress supporter, and he was a very close to Kamaraj. When Kamaraj breathed his last, Saurirajan was informed that your man is having problem and he rushed there. So he is a very famous doctor. There was another Dr. Srinivasan. He was also in that Sadullah Street. Sadullah Street also had this 𝗤𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗏, who later became Citibank in charge, and then he started 𝗵𝗫𝗍𝗍, the company, and now he is settled in Bombay. He writes off and on in print and other. A great scholar and a thinker. He was from Loyola College. He was my contemporary. And
incidentally, he goes by the name Jerry Rao, right? He goes by the name Jerry Rao.
He writes by name Jerry Rao. And because he was called Jerry by the Citibank group, who were not very familiar with pronouncing the entire 𝗤𝗘𝗙𝗘𝗏 and other thing. Anyhow, and he was the Loyola College contemporary. We used to travel together in the train to Nugumbakam and return. And the other contemporary of mine, who is not from T Nagar, was this Anand Amrudraj, who is very well known, what you may loosely call the tennis player. So the opening gambit in any discussion is Anand is our contemporary. Everybody used to be, immediately sit erect, and Vijay was our junior. So, and the opening gambit will be Anand, we played, and I have played with Anand and I defeated him 2-1. People were shocked. Is it really true, sir? Yes, but it is in chess, not in. That is the discussion we used to have. Anyhow, so that Sadullah Street had a doctor called Srinivasan. He was also very, very compassionate and kind. He used to treat lot of poor. And those type of general doctors are practically not there nowadays. We have almost all of them are corporates, and there is no generalist who is a family doctor type of thing. On this side of the road, there used to be one 𝗤𝗏𝗏, who is also a doctor, but he is not an MBBS doctor. He was only a LIM or LMP in those days it is called.
A registered medical practitioner.
Yeah,
registered
but
medical
he was very kind, and he used to treat almost all the diseases. He used to give only one rose bottle, rose liquid. He will give, and then he will say have curd rice and idli or some soft type of food, and have rest. His solutions were very simple for almost all type of common problems for which people. Kannadasan used to go to his place very regularly, to this Dr. 𝗤𝗏𝗏. That was the type of a medical facility which was provided in that area for us. So this is the the time of. So we have Ashokamithran, Chandilya. I mentioned about it. There's Rajaji, Shivaji Ganesan also I mentioned, Kannadasan, Lalgudi Jayaraman, Maharajapuram, and Jayalalitha. So one interesting fact I should tell you is, even though this Padakadai Jayaraman was a DMK, but he was an ardent believer in religion. He created a small Vinayaka temple in front of the railway station. I do not know whether it is around there or not. And he used to actually help in many of these Vinayaka Chaturthi and other things. One time I remember, before Bogi in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 temple, they used to create one huge amount of all these trash and other things. And then Bogi night it used to be lit, and there were some financial problem. His son Anbaragan actually quietly gave money. What I want to stress is, all these Dravidian top layers, whatever they are talking, at the bottom layer, lot of these people were having enormous amount of interest and enthusiasm in terms of providing for many of these rituals and festivals. So that is the thing which we should also keep in the mind. So now, of course, the entire complexion of T Nagar is different. It's not the T Nagar I am talking. It should be. what makes T Nagar a small ward of Chennai unique? It, what made it should be, not mix. It made that time. And after that, so many changes have come, and now you are got shops and shops and shopping. It is identified as a shopping area, not anything more. And it's a very interesting mixture. Primarily, originally, how the British, pro-British agents got all this thing, and then later how it got, mutated into different formations and other thing. And then now how it has become only a people, I don't think recollect anything other than T Nagar means shopping. So it is like going into a huge, Costco or Walmart, and so you can go and have your any amount of discount or anything. I might have another person on this side of the road, Ranganathan Street itself, is 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪. He was the pioneer in starting the 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 Sabha, and now, of course, it has grown into a huge thing. In those days, it used to be operated from a, sort of a thatched roof and other thing, very near to Mundakanni Amman temple, as it is known as, behind the Ramakrishna Mission schools, Sarada schools ground. And 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 built it up actually. He identified so many young talents he used to bring for dance and music and other things. And then he started this, sort of a, not as a competition, but as a similar to music academy in terms of the 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 Sabha. Performing in 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 Sabha much later became a extremely privileged type of a benefit and a facility, because the Rasikas are expected to be very knowledgeable and other. So 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗪 is the one who really built it up and then brought to some amount of importance. Overall, it was a bustling activity with the musicians, writers, thinkers, political leaders, and various others. But all of that is now, I don't think, is remembered. Now it is only remembered as a massive shopping mall. Shall we go to T Nagar means, shall we go to buy something, purchase something or other, in terms of your, the silk sarees and various other electronic items and all that. Times have changed, obviously. Can't still think of 6 p.m. Panagal Park, the All India Radio News, that used to be the ultimate. Everybody used to wait, and All India Radio News will come at 6 p.m. Once that news come, after the end of the news, 10 minutes, people will all disperse. And, the general rule in those days is, believe me, when the street lights are on, you come into the home. You are not going to be on the road after street lights are on. At least this is the rule for school and college students. But now it is the reverse. When the lights are on, you are on the road. You are not expected to be at your home. So the evening 6 o'clock news is very, very important. Just like your radio Ceylon music, which is available in those days, Binaka series in the transistors, same way.
Wednesdays at 8 p.m.
Panagal Park used to be a center for up to 6 p.m. Then we had that other one, Nadesa Mudaliyar Park, it used to be called. Now it's called Nadesan Park only. And that is mainly for beautifully cut, what one can call grass and other thing. Opposite to that is 𝗪𝗌𝗻 Park. That is for all the exercises and other thing. It used to have its own, and the famous basketball tournaments used to be held in that 𝗪𝗻 Park. So these were 3 major parks which were available in the area. So this is a recollection basis. I'm sure so many people can add more things or subtract more things. And thanks Iyer for providing this nostalgic thing. And I would seriously request him to consider identifying similar type of thing in other cities, other places, or including in Tamil Nadu itself. So open-ended type of thing, so that the past is not completely forgotten. It's very difficult to have it read and everything. I'm sure similar type of areas will be there in Hyderabad, Secunderabad, or Trivandrum, and various other places. Thank you, Iyer.
Thank you so much, sir. And just to add a note to what he said, I grew up in a neighborhood called Nungambakkam. Now, Nungambakkam at that time was called Lake Area. There was a lake, correct, and it used to be full of mosquitoes. And we were, so think of it like this. There's a lake, then the main street will go, it's called Village Road or something like that, College Road, something like that. Village and Road. Then you have to get through the lake, and then again there is an upraised place where construction was built, and we were in one of those homes. Fairly decent houses, and our neighbors were, you wouldn't believe it, sir, Maharajapuram Vishwanath Iyer used to be our neighbor. Yeah. And Madurai Somu. So many people moved to this Nungambakkam area during, I think, 60s and 70s, because you need a little bit more land, and this was, that was available. And then that whole lake was completely filled with the filth of Chennai, and they built a huge monument there. It's called 𝗪𝗚𝗏 today. Correct. So how times change. And then other interesting data here is the current corporator for Mambalam, Mrs. Uma Anandan, still lives in Nungambakkam. Yeah, she's for the West Mambalam actually, not not the T Nagar area. New Mambalam, right? West Mambalam we will talk about on some other occasion. Yes, very big story. Well, Ashwin lives there, isn't it? This cricketer Ashwin lives on the West Mambalam area now. Yeah, I think. I remember reading, I have the streets, his book. I think he lives in West Mambalam. Anyway, sir, we have a lot of questions from our viewers. Let's take them now. For this also questions. Yes, very good. Yes. Sir, your students love you, sir. 𝗪𝗏𝗃64 says, except for PGurus, rest all NRI have always damaged India. 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏 and many more. Okay. Oh, this is not a question. This is a statement. Observation, Observation. I am with you. Next one, please. Why 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗏𝗏 is sent to? Because he has experience in RBI, and he's anti-India is not totally to be accepted. And another thing I should tell 𝗪𝗏𝗃64, Delhi is a place where the right hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. So this is very, very important. So don't try to, it's not something very systematic thinking or something. Okay, next. Next one, please. Professor RV and Sree Iyer, very interesting topic. The right side of the brain. Use the right side of the brain. Brilliant. Is why they are extremely brilliant. Okay, thank you. Professor RV, can we talk about cryptocurrency overpower the dollar? Yeah, we will do it in one of our future things. We will talk about gold, cryptocurrency, as well as the issues of dollar, right? Yeah. Thank you. Next one, please. Same person asked RV, what made the residents of T Nagar so successful? Any research done on it? There is nothing to be researched and other thing. Many of the residents were on their own way really successful. There is nothing called a coordinated association or colony or anything like that. Individually, and many settled there because of the ambience and because of the place which was there. Okay. Next one, please. Krishna Kishore wants to know, India became second largest world's oil exporter to EU, and is this why US can't accept it? Venezuela is next as it supplies to China. US also targeting China by this. Your comment. This is out of syllabus, guys. How is T Nagar related to this? Anyhow, the US is now on a what one can call a angry streak. They are, very, very angry with angry old man. Trump is an angry old man. Particularly India. So there is you can't expect significant logic.
See, basically, India is not accepting the export from US of agricultural commodities as well as milk and milk-related products. This is the basic problem. And they have huge surplus which they can sell. And India is a very large market. At least 400 million Indians can buy all those things. 440 crore Indians can easily. But India is not, as of now, accepting any of that. And that is the primary, according to me, is the grouse. Because most of the Midwest farmers, who are all 7th fail, 8th pass, who are all supporters of MAGA, they are all eagerly waiting to expand their market globally. And India is one of the most attractive places. Okay, let's wait and see how it develops.
𝗣𝗽𝗻𝗄𝗻 𝗲𝗏𝗂 wants to know, why suddenly T Nagar having biggest mall in India, where DK planning stroke for Siddharamaiah, all of a sudden magic play started? Namaskar, sir. I don't know about DK versus
No.
Sir, you know
the
more.
mall idea is not anything to do with this, here there is an Asian mall, here there is Orient mall. In Bangalore, there are plenty of malls to compete with any of the global malls. So DK planning stroke and DK Siddharamaiah is separate. There seems to be some understanding that after 2.5 years, DK will get the chief ministership. But now that seems to be not coming forward. And so there is Congress is always known for internal tussle. Long, particularly in Karnataka, from 1990, if you look back, there used to be one Ramesh, one corporator. He organized one aeroplane, full plane, load of MLAs he took to Delhi in order for them to meet Rajiv Gandhi as a dissident. So dissidence is common in Karnataka. Once the chief minister take place, that evening itself dissident starts. So this is not something new or anything. Bangarappa, so many leaders. Even Siddharamaiah was not a congressman. He was in JDS and he was expelled by 𝗣𝗚𝗏𝗄𝗏 and all that story. Okay, next.
Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful session. We'll be back again 2 weeks from now about gold, cryptocurrencies, and the US dollar. Namaskar.
Sure.
Thank you.
Take care. Now you have to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.